Welcome again to another episode of the Sustainability Podcast. Today I'm very excited to be joined by David Gerber of the Prometheus Group. David, how are you today?
Doing well. How are you?
Very, very good. Today we're broadcasting live from the ARC 29th Annual Forum. And David has been an exhibitor of ours here this week. David, let's get started with how did you come to this industry and what ecosystem do you work within?
Yeah, sure. So here at this conference is really important to us because we got started in the oil and gas industry. So energy is big for us. Any continuous process manufacturing is big for us. Chemical manufacturing, pulp and paper, but really got our start around oil and gas and building on ERP systems for customers. So if that's SAP or Oracle, Maximo, Prometheus Group is a software company really around unifying the client experience around their ERP system.
So that was a lot. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
What challenges, and please list them if you can, what challenges
Sure.
are you trying to address?
Yeah, so it's a big question. Thinking kind of from my lens, so specifically I work with our asset performance management solution at Prometheus Group, and we're addressing a lot of different challenges for customers, and that's probably first and foremost, a lot of our clients have a lot of data today, and they're trying to figure out what to do with that data, how to drive information and actionable insights around that. So that's probably the biggest challenge that I think we help address is, kind of to be cliche, it's like drowning in data but starving for information. So help driving that action. And then another thing is just, a loss of workforce talent. We see a lot of clients that can't sustain the industry-specific, process-specific, company-specific knowledge because there's a lot of churn in their workforce, so whether that's to attrition or anything like that. So helping create a digital repository of that information as well. So.
Okay. Well, let's drill down a little bit into drowning in data.
Yeah.
How do you address that? And feel free to go slowly.
Sure.
We've got a sophisticated audience, and go into all the details.
Yeah, okay. So thinking about it, the way that we help address that is basically at the data historian level. So a lot of our clients have, either they have it today, they've been working towards consolidating data, having a repository of time series data that basically timestamps anything that they have that's temperatures, pressures, vibrations, flows. It could be loading on a motor or a controller output. All of that data is being stored in a data historian. So when we take that data, we have an existing library of machine learning models that we can run that data through and understand what normal behavior looks like for our customers' assets. A lot of our clients have very heavy assets. They're expensive. Cost of downtime is very high. They want to optimize their processes, make sure they're getting the most bang for their buck on their assets. So we'll understand what that normal behavior looks like and detect even the smallest deviation from normal. So this is going to be well within like a DCS alarm or a high-low limit, something that an operator is not necessarily going to see, or a process engineer or reliability engineer. Nobody can really be watching the data, all of the time. They've got tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of data points that they have, but our machine learning models, they can. So we've got the machine learning models to kind of do that initial look, understand what normal behavior is, and if there's just maybe even just a few % change in the loading on a motor compared to all the other conditions, that model will raise its hand and say, hey, there could be a problem here. Then we also have a monitoring team, primarily sits in North Carolina. That monitoring team will take the first pass. They'll say, hey, machine learning model said there could be an issue. Let's try and understand exactly what this is. So they'll look downstream of that asset. They'll look upstream. They'll look at similar assets. They may be historical data. What have we done in the past when we've seen some sort of anomaly in behavior like this, and try and put together a story around what this might be. Can they rule this out as kind of a benign alert, or is this something that the site level folks are really going to care about? So basically what they're going to do is create essentially an evidence package everything up, screenshot that data, and bring that to the site level folks. And depending on, triaging that, hey, is this something that is extremely urgent? You care about this today because this is going to be a problem in the very near future. If so, they can send that out to specific user groups and alert them and give them that evidence package to say, here's what we know, but you guys are the site level folks. You're going to know even more than we do. Or maybe it's something that isn't quite as urgent. They're just noticing a small step level change in the way an asset is performing. And so in that case, then we have weekly touch points typically with a lot of our clients where we'll work through them and say, hey, here's what we're noticing. can you guys explain what this is? Because we really can't. And sometimes it's a pretty quick, easy conversation. Yeah, we recalibrated that equipment, and so that's why you saw that change. Or no, we don't really have an answer for it. We'll send somebody out on the floor to go, take a better look and take a closer look and attach that. So all of that kind of is a way that we help address that, I guess.
That's fascinating. And I think you answered a number of my follow-up questions
Okay.
all in one shot.
Sure.
Let's move on to, you mentioned workforce management, skilling, reskilling.
Yeah.
Spend some time on that. That one is actually very fascinating.
Yeah, so to be clear, we're not really changing a lot on like the skilling or reskilling of employees. It's really probably more just a challenge that we see clients needing to address because, they may have somebody that's been familiar with the plant, familiar with the process, that's been there for 40 years, that is retiring out, or maybe there's movement to somewhere else. So understanding their specific processes, when we give them the level of visibility into their data and any kind of changes that we see with the asset performance, that helps even some of the newer folks understand, dissect the data, and understand what's happening with that asset, even if they don't have, decades of experience working on the asset. And we even have a very small feature that we have within our product set is some generative AI there that can help make suggestions around, hey, here's what we're seeing in the asset performance. Here's the list of maybe the top 7 things that you should go start thinking about and looking for to try and resolve this problem that we see. So that kind of helps even somebody that's a little bit newer to the specific plant, the specific site, somebody that's newer to actually take action. So
let's talk about that a little bit. Obviously, our theme this year is winning with AI.
Yeah.
And AI is a big thing everywhere. So you have a departing employee that might have been there 40, 45 years.
Yeah.
And knows, a whole series of different steps for whatever anomaly might happen. You have data, and I believe you have incredible visibility into the data, but pages and pages on a user interface of graphics and numbers might not mean to that newer employee what it means to the legacy employee. So how do you go about introducing that new employee so that those actual representations on the screen mean something, and then approximate the action that the legacy employee would have done?
Yeah, and I think it's a really good question because change management is such a huge part of any new digital initiative or any new tool that you want to bring to the users at a site level. So you want to make sure that new employee can feel like when they leverage the program that we have, the APM program, that it makes their day job easier, that they can engage their day job with a lower cognitive load than if they would without it. So that's really critical there. And the reason that it helps that newer employee is because they can log into the software tool if they want, and it's a no-code environment. It's pretty easy for them to manipulate the data, as well as understand specifically what actions they should be taking when there is an anomaly. And then to further back that up is the monitoring team that they have access to, and again, those weekly touch points, or maybe reaching out specifically when there is an anomaly, providing the entire evidence package to show them, hey, here's what we found and what we understand about it. Here's what we think you should do. So even that newer employee doesn't have to feel like they're responsible to go out and I guess dissect all of the data and understand on their own, but they have both the software solution and the monitoring team backing them up, so they can ramp up very quickly with, less process knowledge than maybe you would have had to have, 10 years ago, let's say. So.
Well, I like that concept of having more dense information, but also more, and perhaps most importantly, lightening that cognitive load.
That's huge.
So you have the time and the energy to focus upon that dense, well-presented information and do the right thing. And I hear you loud and clear that it's not just an independent decision of that new employee, but you've got someone over your shoulder that may help you. Live people in some cases, and if not, or in conjunction, it could also be some form of AI.
Correct. Yeah. And we're trying to bring all of that together to make the experience better for them, because the reality is if that experience isn't one that they want to repeat, then we're not going to see the change management. We're not going to see the adoption, especially when we look at, an enterprise deployment for some of our clients. You have to make sure that as you roll out each stage, that you get the adoption at each of the different sites, across cultures, across different types of users. So yeah, it's really important for us.
It's interesting because I had for me, a very fascinating session yesterday afternoon on human-centric engineering.
Okay, yeah.
For pharmaceutical plants. And we all recognize that the acronym goes people, process, technology, but often in the environment we're in an industry or even here at the ARC Forum, it's always technology drives a business process, and then it's force fit.
Pulling the people at the very last stage, yeah.
Of course, the people may revolt. So that's fascinating. Hey, we've covered an awful lot of ground in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we have left off the table that you'd like to communicate to our audience today?
No, the only thing that I would say is just, we kind of understand why we're trying to accomplish it, right? Like, we want to make it easier for our clients, for our users to understand how to take action with the data that they have today. One of the biggest things too is really just speed to value is important, and that's why we've put together our low cost, low effort pilot program so that we can be live with our customers' data in just 30 days. So we access, again, through that data historian level. And so once we get access to that time series data, the fact that we have an entire library of machine learning models ready to deploy on their data gives us a really quick deployment of that, versus I feel like a lot of the misconception around AI and how to take action. I think we know a lot of people see the benefit of AI, but don't quite know how to get from here to there where it's really making a change to their business. And so a misconception can be that the process to build out models with their data can be a multi-year deployment, and it has been that way in the past. But because we have that existing repository, we can be live with their data. We have a monitoring team and implementation team that are one and the same that can help really bridge that gap for our customers and get them the speed of value that they need to prove that AI can be a real difference maker for them. So,
well, David, thank you. This has been very enlightening.
Yeah.
Again, our guest today has been David Gerber of the Prometheus Group. Thanks, David, for joining us, and we'll see you again on another episode of the Sustainability Podcast.
Yeah, thanks.